Hi guys, welcome to another Zen pop-up. So what I'm going to show you now is pre-recorded content of me putting the first stage of the website together for Natalie Mason. So she specialises in fertility and well-being and is a psychotherapist. So she is not here with us today, but I don't really need her because I'm just putting the site together. What I'm going to do after this is I'm going to have a live with Natalie where we just talk about what I've done, if she likes the fonts, if she likes the colours, these kind of things. Before we move on, once we actually move on from this stage, it's going to be quite quick because we've set our branding. So along the lines, we will be doing our branding as well. We'll be doing some key things inside the site. First thing is to set a capture page up, so it's capturing leads, and then we can work on our site in the background, put it all together, and then finally launch it once we've got our courses in and we're happy with everything. So this is the key stage at stage one of this, where I'm actually using Zenler to actually build the brand itself, or the branding colors at least. I do a quick logo, just put in there just to show how it's kind of working, those sort of things, but I think you'd be quite interested. Runtime on this is about 1 hour 22 minutes, so I'm going to go straight into the pre-recording. Now, something to understand is that I am running a series of Zen pop-ups with Natalie, and we are doing them live on the Facebook group. But when we finish, what I'll do is I will actually take all of those videos and I will put them all together, and then I will produce one video with timestamps in the video that will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel as a massive Zen pop-up. Okay, so if you want to follow along with that after, if you've missed any of these series, don't worry. If you look through the threads or under the featured, you'll see that we're actually in there under Natalie's thing, and you can follow it from the beginning, inception of it, and right the way through to what we're doing now. So guys, I'm going to share the pre-recorded content. I'll see you in about 1 hour 22 minutes, where we'll just finally finish up with a brief summary, and I'll answer any comments that come into the chat at that same time as well. Please keep it on topic. I'm not going to be answering general questions to do with the Zenler platform, only on what we're doing currently at this time. Okay, so I'll see you soon, and I'm playing the pre-recorded content now. Welcome to this part of Natalie Mason's fertility and well-being site build. So what we're doing now is we're looking at the document that we set up for Natalie to give us the information we need on the Zenler URL. So let's have a look at the URL as we see it at the moment. So this is the free plan, so there is no custom domain with this at this point in time, and you can see that it's basically as a brand new site. So this makes it really easy for us to work with this. Now I've got the login in here, and it is brand new, so there's nothing really going on, which is also perfect. And we need to now look at some of the sites that Natalie has. These are sites that she's using. We're concentrating our main concern on the fertility one at this point in time, and we have the well-being one, which is the harmony one, in here as well, with this extra one here. Now the first thing I want to look at is the sites that she's already created and done, and although she's not fixed on those designs because she just put it together quite quickly, she was saying, I did ask her for the second slide, which was sites she likes the look and feel of. So what I'm doing is I'm going to look through these sites and try and get a kind of understanding and feel for what she's kind of after. She's already mentioned the word pastel colors, so it's going to be very pastely. Now I see fertility being in a kind of red colors, and I see well-being more kind of maybe blue or even the green colors, so the green pastel, and they kind of work well together. So you got the red and the green, which are two colors that work really well. To be a little bit careful with pastel colors because you can get clashing with colors, so I need to be really quite careful with that. So already I'm thinking of, on those pastel colors, that we should either be using a very light color like a white or a shade of that same pastel color, or be using a black, a really contrasting color. Otherwise you will get clashes if you don't know what you're doing with colors, especially with pastel colors. So be aware of that when you're working with it. So I'm going to go through these sites and just have a look at them and see what the sort of feel of those sites are, to try and give me an idea of what I'm going to go with. I've already got a vision in my head, but I just want to see whether those sites kind of match up with it in some shape or form. So I'm not even looking at her site at the moment, I'm just looking at these. You can see this is green, balance, heart, hormones, naturally. So well-being, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's the sort of colour that I was thinking of already, so it made sense that it was going to be in those kind of colours. It's a very clean site, you know, this site is very very clean. I really like the look of it. This is kind of what I envisaged in my head. Less so with these binding lines. We can do this, but it's just going to cause more of a problem. I think I'm just going to go with straight blocking types like this for now, just because it does save me a lot of time. So we just got to make it look really cool. So that's one site that we're looking at, and I'm going to jump across to the next one in here. So let's just have a look at this one and see, and I'm envisaging that they'll have the same kind of feel about them. So we're going to have a look at this one, yoga. Yeah, it's the same kind of feel. It's got these, you kind of like these curls, doesn't go right to the edge, don't like that. Nice. So again, the greens, yeah, if you mix the greens with the pinks there, which are good. Yeah, so it's pretty much as I kind of imagined it would be. These are kind of pull off the shelf type templates, which work really well. So it gives me a real idea of what we're heading towards here. And even just looking at those two sites already given me a very clear picture of what I need to do. I like the look and feel of this site. I like the look and feel of this site. So this is great. These are the top two. Natalie's really good. She puts things in order of importance. So just sharing this one because the vision of what I could do money wise, but I don't really want to look at that too much. There's obviously going to be a lot going on. I'm more interested in the design content at this stage. Can just be put in following the design. So I see what you mean. Yeah, you've got visit our shop. Okay, we haven't got shops in Zenler that you could sell PDFs and those sort of things. A lot of stuff going on, lots of pop-up, bit of animation, and lots of stuff that could be presented better, I think. It's very, also be aware of people with eyesight problems or those kind of things. This could be should be a lot bigger. Then it would run onto a new line, so I can see why they've done it, but it doesn't work. And same with this, hard to read, very close contrasted colours or not contrasted colours, and that's subdued, making it quite hard to read. Different font sizes running through the site, just general amateur mistakes on these sort of things. So to be expected with a lot of these sites. And this one, yeah, it's quite nice. That's quite good. Just looking at these sites, seeing if there would be technical problems creating this, taking it across onto a Zenler platform. But all these sites that I've seen so far, that's all very, very achievable inside Zenler with no particular problems. This is probably the biggest problem. Would need to be code, but yeah, that cuts off there. Really, that's my pet hate when that happens. Really hate that. But yeah, I can see what that's all about. Really good. Nice examples, Natalie, for sure. So let's copy this. So I'm just getting a feel. Then I'm going to kind of pause the video and sort of let that sink in. Just general, fairly, sorry to say, but kind of fairly amateur looking site. Okay, annoying. What have you put about this? Is someone in the same fertility niche? The website is very chaotic. Yeah, exactly. Fabulous. I'm glad you agreed there. Chaotic is a word I would use for sure. So I can already see from Natalie's site that she's got a little bit of eye for design. So that's quite good. She knows what she wants, which is half the battle, really. Okay, this is nice. Like this site. I already know it's going to be good. Not sure about these. A bit too much white space. Imagery is nice, but probably have something in there. Yeah, total agreement with you about those first two sites. Definitely look the best. Okay, good. Right, so I'm going to now just have a look at what Natalie's got here for her sites, and we're going to kind of spend a bit of time. This is like probably the creative stage of it, where you sort of get ideas and you pull things across Fertility from the soul, yeah, it's all really nice. I really like it. I don't think you really need to change a lot. Probably one thing, quality of images not very good on here. So this is your site, Natalie, but you've got all your images, you know what you're doing, makes my life easy. Okay, so that's an image, bad. Okay, and you've got pop-up popping up over the complete screen. Oh, I see, it's a... Oh, I'm a bit confused by that. Not really sure what's going on. There's a... Yeah, that, see, that having that there makes me think maybe this is a video and I'm clicking it. So it's just these first initial things, like the colours though. Yeah, going through, all that's very cool, very simple, to the point. That's what we're after here, clear messages, and I know that was one of the prerequisites. So here we go. So this is looking a bit like those sites. A great picture there. Resolution could be better, it's a little bit blurred. Probably bring it down in size a little bit, but it's good. Harmony within, this is the harmony within one. So I think this was to show me the harmony within Teachable. This is on the Teachable platform. So courses, so okay, just one course on there. And the fertility one, you've got lots of courses. It's good, 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 good. It's giving me some good ideas. Okay, that's good. And the well-being or the harmony within side of things is going to be added to. You're going to have quite a lot of transformational online courses, available online workshops. Yeah, I think you've got your design, so it's like you're used to using Teachable to whack in blocks and things like that. So you're actually going to love Zenler because you can do exactly the same. So I'm going to keep it very, very loose. I'm going to follow a kind of one of these styles, something like the cross between these two. These, I'm actually just not even going to look at these. I don't even want them for inspiration. I just want those top two because I think they hit the point, you know. So I will be using your actual sites for maybe some of the text. You will need to change that, Natalie, but we're going to start to put the design together now. So I've already got in my head that fertility is going to be kind of on the pinky side, and we're going to have the well-being in this kind of greeny color, which I quite like. So I kind of knocked back, tinted over the top with some images straight off of Pixabay, and our homepage is going to be very, very, very simple. We're just going to have those two blocks in there, and we're going to have a little bit of information about Natalie down the bottom part, like this kind of area here, like this. This would be good. Learn more to an About Us page, maybe has a similar thing going through it as well for people to know more information. I don't want tons of info on the page. I want it to be very light, so people land on the page and they just know which area they're going to go into, and then they can buy that particular membership plan going forward into it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to codulate that for a few hours before I get started on actually putting the design together, and then I can work much, much quicker because I've let my brain settle into what I need to do. Okay, this is something I do often. I'll often go out surfing, so I'll forget about this job completely, but in the background my mind is working. When I hit the table again to start work, then things just flick into my head straight away because my brain's had a chance to relax and just cogulate it in the background. That's how I kind of work, but people are different. I could just jump straight into it, of course, but I'm going to give it a little bit of time and come back to it. So I'm pausing this part of the video. So this is part one of this particular part. All right, guys, so I had a look at some of the sites, seen the kind of styles that's going on. Now really want to start setting things like the font I'm going to use throughout the site. I want to make sure that I'm sticking to a particular size, and if I change the size I want to make sure that it's updated on the master sheet as well. And I want to pick out some of the color palettes that I'm using. Now generally I would do this in something like Adobe Illustrator or even Photoshop to put it together, because you can quickly come up with ideas. But Zenler is really good for this as well, and I want to jump straight into Zenler and just start putting this together. So let's just get on with it now and get started with this, because you know, you probably be like, come on, get on with it, just get it done. So but you've got to remember, like guys, you know, this whole thing of looking at what other people are doing, you know, especially if you're not a designer, then you can get really good ideas. It can put you on the right track. You know, you're looking at colors, you're looking at your brand and what colors are going to work with that particular niche and these kind of things. So research and these things are probably the most important part. Actually putting it together and those things is actually quite quick in the system. You might tweak things later, but you'll have the general form and idea because you've looked at all these sites. It's something that is always overlooked by a lot of amateur website designers posing as website designers on sites like Fiverr. You have to be very careful with that. You also have to know that web designer's ability levels, what they're used to using. Are they designers? Do they just work from designs? Do they do the whole gamut of things? You know, these things you need to look at, because you can easily choose the wrong designer for the job and they can be out of their depth very, very quickly. They're going to say yes to you because it's money, but they can get out their depth. It's really good. And I always say this, if you're choosing someone to actually have a quick Zoom meeting with them, make sure you chime with them, make sure you get on with them, make sure they understand, quiz them about what they do for design and these sort of things and what level they are, and tell them, look, be honest with me, you know, because I can use a designer and then I can also use you for the website side. Be honest and open with them if you're getting on with them. This is just so key to this whole process. It will make you won't get ripped off. You won't feel you've got ripped off by a subclass website that you've paid a lot of money for, and you'll get what you actually expected. Also ask about iterations. How many iterations do I get? How many revisions do I get with a design that you come up with? These are another key questions, because obviously there's a limit. You can't just tweak. If they're working to a limit and they've overstepped that, then you've got to be considerate as well, because remember, these guys are working really hard maybe to do this stuff for you, and it's their time, and you know, you're cutting into their hourly rate with the more revisions and iterations you make. But then on the flip side, it's their job to get it right the first time by asking you all these questions, and obviously they will probably put those costs into taking the job on in the first place. So just beware of that for sure. These are things that I've noticed a lot with people, even people that I have actually hired, that have actually just told me a pack of lies and haven't been able to do things, and I've like said, look, just leave it. I haven't got the time to do it, but I'll have to do it anyway because I'm now running out of time because you told me a load of lies, and I'll never go back to those people ever again. So just be wary of that for sure. Lots of horror stories with these sort of things. Okay, let's get on with it. Okay, so we're in the site. I'm going to go straight to site, and the first thing I'm going to do, this is key, is to just set up a holding page. I've got lots of pages inside here. Lots of them have to be formatted differently, and a lot of these pages will be cloned. But what I want for my home page straight away is not the default home page like this. I want to be capturing things straight away. So I'm going to set up a just a holding page. This is what I do for everything, and I'm just going to call this let's call it fertility contact. Okay, something like that. Fertility and well-being contact. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up a quick form. This is not part of the design process. This is just because I want a form on there to capture leads if I decide to send it out. Now I know Natalie has already got people, and she might send new people to get them as leads into the site. So this is why I'm doing this. It's not really part of the design, but it'll have that kind of influence. I'm going to publish this, make sure it's visible for all users, and I'm going to click add. The first thing I'm going to do, because I haven't sorted the navigation out for either the header or the menu area or the footer, that's the bottom area of the web page, is I'm going to delete those out, and I'm going to create a block with a simple nice image in there, and I'm going to put a form in there, and that's all I'm going to do. So let's leave this central block in here. We're going to come in here, delete the header block out. We're going to take the bottom block out, delete it out. I'm going to go delete. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to add a 1 row. I'm working really quick, guys. You can slow this down, but I've got to work at speed. And I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to put something like join us for the launch party, and then we focus on fertility and well-being. Now I expect Natalie to change this, and I'm going to go in here now. I'm going to add underneath this row. Notice I'm not clicking here, I'm clicking the row under it. I'm now going to create a 3-column element in here, and I'm now going to go and I'm going to create a new row. Sorry, I've messed up a little bit here. I'm going to create a 1 row in here, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to add an element, I'm going to go to form, and I'm going to drop a form in there. Right, so when I'm in here, I'm going to click in this box, and I'm going to go add element, and I'm going to go 3 rows. Now you can see that, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to drag that in there. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to drag that in there. I'm going to take this bottom one, I'm going to drag it in there. So I've created an inline form really quickly. I can delete that one out, I didn't need it. Okay, so this is not the same width as this, so I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to change a bit of the padding underneath some of this stuff, just to make it so that it's the same as my box, which is something like that. A little bit less that side, something like that. 6 and 6 is great. I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to go join the club. Okay, so that's good. I haven't got an email list or funnels. I'm just going to go post submit action. I'm going to do this in a minute. This is a submit form action, so it's going to submit a form. Basically, when someone fills this out, they'll become leads into your site. Now, one thing I'm definitely going to do is make sure this is a required field. So I'm going to click required under settings. I'm going to go to the settings item there, settings in there, required field. I'm not going to change any of that stuff in there. The button color, I'm going to make this a little bit groovier. I'm going to put it into a nice kind of pastel-y pinky color, something like that. And then I'm going to put a lovely light image in here. So I'm going to go into background images. We haven't got any images in the site. I'm going to check for fertility, and then hopefully I'll have some nice images come up. So we've got some nice sort of fertility type images. That looks quite nice. Something like that. Insert without crop. So I've got nice rows in there. And I'm going to put in a background overlay color of a kind of pinky color like this, and I'll up it a little bit. So I've got a little bit of that going in. I'm also going to notice in here, if you hover over, you've got 100. If I click in here, click left, hold, drag. Click left, hold, drag. Now I want to change this to a white, so I'm going to go into settings for this and just change it to a white. Now I'm not happy with that font type, so at this stage what I can do is I can play around with different font types that I like the look of for the text there. So I don't mind that. Lato. This might take a bit of time to get this right. I'm trying to stay a little bit away from the hand script. I will be using hand script, but that's for subtext mainly. So I want to go through and choose a good one. I'm looking through the little previews here on the right hand side. I'm trying to find one that's going to work nicely with this. And I actually quite liked the font that we had for this. So I'm actually going to right hand click, go to inspect. I'm using Chrome. I'm going to go over it, and I can see that's Montserrat 60 points. So Montserrat looked fairly good. So I'm going to go in there and I can type MON and I get Montserrat come up. But I think I want to give the letter spacing probably 1, just a little bit further apart. And I want to bring this up to about 45. That looks quite nice. I'm not sure about Montserrat. I think I prefer Leto. Yeah, it looks a bit softer. I'm going to take this, make this bold, make this bold, and that looks good. Okay, that needs to be a little bit more. I'm going to put that into Leto as well. I'm just going to put this into a darker colour, something like that. Okay, and I can see I've put club in capital, so there we go. Let's save that. Okay, so I've saved this now. I would definitely put in my SEO there, so join our club on fertility and well-being. We are launching very soon. Okay, and then you can put some keywords in here. So copy. I'm only going to do this once. This is how you can put in your social, separated by a comma. Okay, so you can put up to 10 in there if you want to. So social media, I'm going to go and grab this little flower. You can notice it's gone in there. So this is now, if I share this post, this is what will appear. If I don't put anything in there, it will grab whatever it likes. So I need to make sure that I'm doing this on each page in your website. So definitely make sure you do it. Now you can turn off showing search results or turn it on. This means that Google will look at it and it might not index it if it's turned off, but I guarantee you that other websites, whether you turn it off or on, they will grab that content. So it's important that you make sure that it's all SEO'd like that. Just simple SEO. We have marketing courses on SEO, so I'm not going to go into great detail on this. Let's click done. Okay, let's save this page now. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this the home page for both logged out and logged in users. Remember, this is the home page as we have it at the moment here. Okay, whether you're logged in or logged out, this is the page that you're going to see. So I want to change that. So I'm going to go into the site now. I can close this down. I'm going to go back into the site. I'm going to go to home page and I'm going to set that new page. So I'm going to go there, fertility and wellbeing contact, fertility and wellbeing contact, both for logged in and logged out users. I'm going to click save. Watch what happens when I refresh the page once I've done this. I'm now going to refresh the page. I'm holding the control key and I'm clicking inside there. And now you're going to see that I have a form. Now I can test this out. So if I test this out, I'm going to call it test and I'm going to put my email in here. Let's just put david@zenler.com. Actually, I'll put David Plus because I'm in as admin. I'm going to put this in as 22 and I'm going to click join the club. So watch what happens now when I go into my site members. So I'm going to go down to leads here and you're going to see that I've gone in there because I filled that form out. So I've captured a lead. So my site, I can now work on my site. No one's got access to other pages because there's no navigation in there, but I can capture leads already. So this has set me off to be able to start to function. And also when I was setting this page up, I was also trying out how the page looks in those colors. So it's also helped with that as well. So I can delete myself back out. If I click delete there, I'm going to click OK to delete myself out, and now I'm not in there. So it's simple as that, guys. So I'm going to go back into this page. There's a little tweak that I want to make to the actual button that's in there that's got this little blue line running around the outside that I do not like. And I'll change that in 2 seconds. Okay, let's just go into this, and where I'm here, I've got this. I'm going to put border thickness 0, which basically gets rid of that blue. So I'm going to click save and now I'm happy. So let's go back to that, refresh it, and I won't have that horrible blue line going around outside. There we go, a lot cleaner. So there we go, that's something that's really nice and clean. Of course, guys, you know, you could add a little bit of animation to this if you want to as well. It's a little bit of an added feature for you. If you click the settings here, go to settings over here, go to animation and do something like slide up, then you're going to get that happening. I'm going to do a delay of that or an interval of that every 2 or 3 seconds. So I'm going to go 3 seconds. Now we're going to view that page, and we've added a bit of animation into the page. So I'm now refreshing again. Hold that control key, hit refresh, and you can see that that's popping up. Watch after 3 seconds, it will pop up again. So it adds a little bit of animation to the page. This is our first page completed. Now we can work on the site. Okay, so now we've sort of chosen that we're going to go with Lato for the heading text. I'm going to go into the branding part of the site, and I'm actually going to change that to Lato. Now, I haven't actually decided what I'm going to use for the body text yet, but the heading text we've already set. So I'm going to go into the heading text in here, and I'm going to put in Lato, and you can see that I've got Lato in there. I'm going to choose, and I chose, I think it was regular or medium. I think it was regular. I'm going to choose regular. So heading font, regular. I'm going to click save to that block. I'm going to make sure that all of them are consistent. So any heading block, I'm going to go in and I'm going to change to exactly the same thing. Lots of people use different ones and it just looks terrible because it's different ones going through. So we're going to click OK to that. And that's all right for now. I'm not going to change any of that, but I'm sort of working my way through the branding as I work my way through the site, which is also a really good way of working. So you'll also see that we have font pairs set up. These are pairs that work really well with each other. I pretty much know what I'm going to use for my body text, which is the smaller text, and I'm actually going to probably use something like pop-ins. So we're going to look at that in a second. So now I've done that and I've got my home page set, I'm going to go back to pages and we're going to start to do our home page. Our home page is going to be split into 2 sections, one's fertility and one's well-being, and plus we're going to have a bio underneath it, or a short bio underneath it of Natalie that will flick through to an About Us page. But when I've got this page prepared, I will then show Natalie, and if she's happy with the fonts and the colours that I've chosen for that page, we can then move on and work through the rest of the site very quickly and efficiently. So we're going to do that in the next session. Okay, so although Zenler sets up a series of pages that are all set up for you, quite a few of these pages, especially the home page, I don't really want to work with. I don't really want to work with this page. There's nothing really on here that I want to use. So I'm actually just going to create a blank page and not touch this at all. But I don't really want this page to show or even be published. So I'm going to go into the settings for this page and I'm going to just unpublish it. I'm going to click update and you're going to see that it now appears red down here, so meaning it's unpublished. Now we're going to need to go through all of these pages that are visible on the site and we're going to need to customize them. But I want to start with a home page to get approval from Natalie before I move on through the rest of the pages. Apologies. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into add a page, and we're going to go in here, and this is going to be the home page. This is going to be the start page that people see. So I'm going to go fertility and fertility and well-being memberships. So I'm going to call it that, and I'm going to go in there. Let's say welcome to the fertility and well-being memberships area. Okay, so quite long-winded. I don't want to put all of that in there for this, so I'm going to well-being site. So I'm going to take this, and being very conscious of search results on URLs, I'm putting fertility and well-being memberships, and that's all I'm going to put. I'm going to publish this page. We don't have to publish it. I could view it without publishing if you want to. If you want to be ultra safe with this while you're working, then leave it unpublished. I will leave it unpublished. I'm going to say this page is visible for all users. So this is going to be the home page when new users visit the site. Okay, so let's click add. And that's going to set us up with a blank page, exactly the same as we had for the other page we looked at. And then I'm going to follow this kind of layout design in here. We can get the header, an image to go underneath the header, but I'm not going to do it for this particular workshop series. We're going to work with all of the elements that are inside of Zenler. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to come into here. Now this is the area that I'm going to split into two. So I'm going to have one image on one side for fertility, one image on the other side for well-being. So within here, this is a block that I want to be full screen. So I'm going to click the little gear icon in here. Before I even begin, I'm going to go in and click full width here. So I'm going to make sure that's full width, and I haven't got any overlays or anything. This is just a container. So now I'm going to add a row in here. Now I'm going to add a single row like this, and then inside that row I'm going to add a 50-50 split. Now I know that Natalie wants to put a third section in there, so when she does, we'll just swap that out for this and we'll put that in there. So I'm going to go in there, we're going to put that in there like that. I'm going to click add element, we're going to go to images. We already have an image for fertility in there. We probably want to look for something a little bit better. So you can either do it through the search here, or you can go straight into something like Pixabay in here. So if I go into Pixabay and flick up Pixabay, we can actually search via here. So let's go fertility. Let's type in here. And have a look and see what we get. I'm looking for a better image. I'm going to pause the video whilst I search through here and I look for a better image. So Natalie, you can swap these images out, but I'm going to go for something like that that's quite light. I'm going to click in here now to go into that image, and this is actually a Shutterstock image, so I can't use it unless I buy it. So I don't want to buy it, so I'm going to have a look for some more free images inside here. Okay, there's quite a few. This one's quite light. I'm looking for a light one because pink's going to show up really nicely on the white. So I'm going to click and use this one. Go to free download, and I'm actually going to choose this 1920 by 1280 inside here. You can change it for another one, but I think this is fine, 1920. So I'm going to click download. This is going to download this, and let's just select the traffic lights there and verify. And now we're downloaded. That's going to go into my downloads folder. You can see it downloading there. So I can now upload that to the site. So I'm going to jump back into the site now, and we're going to upload. I'm going to go to my downloads folder. So my downloads folder is in here, and I'm going to go to here. There it is. And I'm going to click open, and I'm going to upload without crop. So this is going to put that image in here, and I want to do the same for this side. In fact, I've made a little bit of a mistake here. I need to just delete this out. I want to put inside that row. Do you know what? I'm going to start again because I don't want you to be confused by this. Let's go blocks, empty blocks. Let's drag an empty block in like you had at the beginning. Remember, we're going to put one row in here. Okay, so we've got one row in here. I'm going to add an element. I'm going to put a 50-50 row in here. And now I'm going to put a row inside that. So I basically got a row on the outside, I've got two column row, and then I've got a row inside that. So I'm now going to go and put another row in there. Now the reason I've done this is I can put a background image in on a row. So I'm going to choose that inner row, and I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to settings in here, style. I'm going to go down to background image, and I'm going to choose that image. Bang, it's appeared in there. Now at the moment it's very tight in there, but don't worry about that because we're going to change things in a second. I want to make sure this is full width, so it's going to spread out more, and we want to now choose an image for the well-being on that side. So I'm going to go in here, and we're going to choose let's choose health inside here and have a look. So that's not bad for health, or even that. That's not bad. Food really depends. That's quite nice. I'm looking for a light color that's going to work with the other color that we've already got. That's not bad. That would go nicely with the green. So nice healthy parsley. Again, 1920 there, or bigger, you know. So we're going to download that. I'm not a robot. Choose mountains or hills. So there we go. Download. Jump back into the site. Inside that inner row, we're going to grab that image. So I'm going to go to background image. I'm going to now upload that new parsley image that I've got and there, and upload without crop. All right, so now we can start to put some stuff in here. So I'm going to select this in a row, and we're going to start to increase the padding inside. So notice what will happen when I increase this padding. I'm going to put these both on 100. So it's opened it up a lot more. So I'm going to do the same for this. I tend to do one and then I do another. So I'm going to go to padding, going to pull this apart here. Now we can put our text in here. But before I do that, I also want to, on this row, I want to start adding my color overlay. So I'm going to go back down to the image, and we're going to go, we have a background image there. Ooh, let me clear that. Now you're going to notice straight away that unlike this area where you can actually put an overlay, you can't do it with rows inside here, which is a pain. So how can I actually get an overlay onto this image for a nice colored background? I mean, I can't put a block inside here to be able to change it. So the only option I've got is actually to edit the image itself. So I can easily do that using Canva. But first I want to make sure that I've got a color that's going to work with this. So again, this is what I do, is I tend to test things out in the page. So I'll go to settings on this full block. Let me just delete that out just so you can see. I'll go to block, I'll go to this full block down here, and I will just test the color overlay out. So I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to drag that image in here, and then I can pull this side up and down like this, and then inside here I can go to the overlay, and which I have there, background overlay, and I can play around with these colors until I find one that's going to work. So I quite like that. I can just tweak things a little bit on the grey side. That's nice. And that's now given me that color. Do you see that color? Now I can say what opacity I want this, so I'd probably come down to something like 0.7. Now that's given me the color. So what I can do is I can duplicate this, clone this block, and then I can, you'll notice that block's been cloned, and now I can swap this image out for the other one. And I can just try a green in here and see what kind of green, pastel green works with this. So I can have a look. I want to go more on the grey side. That's quite nice. And then bring that opacity up. So that kind of works for me in there. Again, you can just tweak these. So that looks good. So I've got some settings. By doing this really quickly, it's given me some settings. So what I like to do is I like to have a Word doc open, or a WordPad open, and I want to start to build up my branding sheet. So instead of just working on the branding, I'm actually working inside the site. I'm making changes and I'm deciding what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to call this branding sheet. And this is kind of how you can do it at home, sort of amateur version here. So I want to go for headings. I'm already going to say that I'm using Lato regular, and size of that is about 45, okay, px. So I want to say for colors I am using, and then I want to go fertility, and then we'll go in here and we'll go pink, and then I'm going to go put a little question, and under here well-being, and then green, and then there. And now I can throw this off onto my other monitor, and I can grab this color. So I can go in here and I can grab that color, copy. That's for the green. So in the green, I'm going to paste that in there. Notice also that that green is at overlay color of 0.8. So I can put overlay 0.8. Okay, now I'm going to do the same for the pink. So I'm going to throw this back onto the other monitor and go into this one. I'm going to select that pinky color, and these might change, but you can just update them on the sheet, so it gives you something to work to. So you've got this open on your desktop, and I go for this one, overlay, and once again this overlay color is on 0.7. So very exact with what I'm doing. So I could use the full color, or I could use an overlay color at 0.7 for the pink, and for green it would be at 0.8. So that gives me enough to work with at this time. So now I need to just edit those images, because I can't put an overlay inside there. Even though I can put a background image on a row, I can't put an overlay on that image inside there, which is a bit of a pain, but it means that I can edit it inside of something like Canva. So let's go and do that. Let's go and put this into Canva, and we can set it all up in there. So I'm going to jump into my free Canva account, and I'm going to just create a new design. So I'm going to create a new design. This is the size that you want to work to, custom size. We're going to choose 1920 by 1080. Okay, let me just repeat that because you guys haven't seen it. So I've got it as recent, but I put width 1920 by height 1080 and create new design. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that image. So I'm going to go to uploads, I'm going to upload media, I'm going to go and choose, the first one is that one. I'm going to click that open, that's going to upload in here, and I'm going to grab it in a second, grab it and snap it in there like that. Did you notice it snaps in there? Now that's in there. I'm going to put an overlay of this, but before I do it I'm going to duplicate this out. So I'm going to detach this. I've got 2 pages. I'm going to detach this, right hand click, detach image from background, delete it out, backspace, and now I'm going to upload another image, and the other image is going to be the parsley. Let that upload, and once that's done, snap it across. There we go. So I've got both these images in. Now I'm going to produce my overlay. Remember, I have my sheet here, it's pink, it's this color, and it's an overlay of 0.7. So let's go and grab a basic element in here and go and grab a square. Got a little square, you can see a little square there. I'm going to grab that square, bring it in here. I'm going to go across to here, and I'm going to edit this color. It's not that far off, but it's not red enough. So I'm going to go add a new color. See, I've got that number. Look, I've got that number. So if I copy that number there, copy, and then I paste that number into here, it's the same color. Yeah, now I can go and take that transparency to 0.7. So let's go in here where we got transparency. With this selected, go up here, change this to 0.7, which should be 0.70. There we go. Put that in the corner, drag it, grab it by the side, drag it out, grab it there, drag it down, and now we have that. So at this point you might want to tweak it a little bit more, but that's fine. So now I'm going to take that, I'm going to copy it. So I've selected that box, Control C. I'm going to come down to this image and I'm going to press Control V. I've pasted it in. So now all I've got to do is swap over these colors. So I need to change this color to this. Let's just do that, copy, and this needs to be 0.8. So I'm going to come in here, add a new color, paste that in there. There we go. And that's set for that, and I want to make it 0.8. So I can come in here and put 80 in here. It's a little bit darker. Now I have my overlays. I've created them in Canva. But not only that, is I've got this as a saved template. So I could use this for social media, put some text on it, use it for social media. And we'll be showing that later. So I'm going to now just share this now. So I'm going to go to share, download. I'm going to choose the file type, JPEG. I'm going to leave all this on the default settings. So I'm going to select all the pages, 1 and 2. I'm going to click done, and I'm going to download. Now these will go into my download folder as a zip file. So you're going to see now that they've downloaded and they are as a zip file. Do you see? So I'm going to right hand click, I'm going to say extract all, and I'm going to my extractions opening, I'm going to say extract, and it's going to open it in a folder. So you now got this untitled zip file here, and inside there you've got both your images. So now I can come into the site and I can actually swap these images over. So I can go down here, I can go upload image, double click in here, got that one, open, upload without crop, beautiful. Come in this one, go down to here, we're going to swap out the green one, so I'm going to upload again, got the green one, upload without crop, and there we go, they're in there. So now I can add it. So we created our own overlays using that. So now I can start adding my text. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start to add my text in on top of this. So I'm going to start with a heading, and I'm going to call this fertility. Now I'm going to change this later, and we're going to change this one. I'm going to make it white. I want white against that background with the pastel. Okay, and this one, heading once again, I'm going to call this well-being. Okay, come into here, and we'll change the color of that to a white, and make sure that I am in Lato and that I'm at 45 and that I have a spacing of 1. So again, 45, spacing of 1. And you want to make sure that you are putting these things on the branding sheet. So where the branding sheet is regular 45, spacing 1, okay, and I'm even going to change this line height. I normally do 3 pixels over the font height, so it would be 48. So line height, and I'll show you what that is in just a second, would be 48 px. Okay, so let me just show you what line height does. So line height is the distance between one line and the next. So if I put another line in there, you can see that distance. So if I change this height here, you're going to see it's going to get closer or further away depending on what I've got. Now 66 is actually not bad. I'm going to do it 56. So I'm going to have a line height of 56. So make sure that you have your line height set in there as well. You can make a real mess of this. Like if I did a line height here of 23, it's going to go right over the top like that. So you pay attention to the line height. It's really important. So 56 in there. I'll just make sure this is the same line height as well. Even though we're using one line here, I just make sure that I do these things. So that's good. And now I'm going to go in and heading number 2. So I'm going to choose heading 2 here. I'm going to make sure this again is a Lato, but I'm going to choose a softer Lato. So I'm going to choose a light. So maybe that's too light. That's not bad because it's smaller. It's 42. So let's make it 40. Let's change that to 1. And let's make it, let's choose a pink. So I can choose that pink in there, and then I can lighten it up by dragging it. That's not bad. Okay, and I might change this font type, I'm not sure. So into the membership area. So I can clone this now if I want to, and I can drag it across. Bang. And then I'll just change this to a shade of that green. I'm going to go into that green there, and I'm just going to push it towards there a little bit. So you've got that kind of thing happening. So you've got a nice clean block. Now this block I don't need anymore, so I'm going to delete it out. And I don't need that block either, so I'm going to delete it out. And now I've got 2 nice clean blocks up there. That looks good. I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to drag it up so that I can drag it up no more. And I'm going to do the same with the bottom, like that. Okay, So we've got nice clean blocks. We're going to put some buttons in here as well. I quite like this button going in here, but my colour's not dark enough, so I can't really use that. So I might go for a yellowy colour, I'm not sure. I'm going to have a play around. But this is the first blocks kind of done. So this is like the home page, the main part. You either go into the fertility area or the well-being area. Now there are some tweaks we can do with this. Like I want this to be edge to edge, and I want these to hit each other, and we can make those changes in the system. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to be using negative values to do this, but we have created our first primary blocks for Natalie's site. Okay, let's now add a button in here. So I'm going to click over one of these where you get a little plus sign, and I'm going to add a button in. So I've decided I want to keep this quite, although like there are going to be square elements, I want to create it quite soft. So I'm going to go in the gear icon for that button, and I'm going to change the button type, and I want to put it into a rounded outline button here. Now you could put it into one of these with a corner with a little arrow, but I'm just going to use the rounded button. Okay, Natalie, feel free to change the design styles over. I'm definitely going to still stick to the Lato in here, so I'm going to go Lato, and I'll probably do it the same size but a bit bolder than the subtext. So the subtext was at 30, and we're going to put it into a white inside here. I want to increase the border thickness around the outside, so I'm actually going to make this probably about 4, and I'm going to make that into a white as well inside here. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I don't want it full width, I just want it normal, so it's going to pull it all in, and I want to make sure there's not too much spacing top and bottom. So under the padding here I'm going to decrease this, so I'm probably going to put it on about 5, which tends to feel better for me, I think. So there we go, we got that in there. So I'm going to change this button here and say area, so something like that. Now it feels a bit too big compared to the top, so I'm actually going to take this and bring it down. So I'm going to bring it to about 20, and I'm just trying to get a feel if it looks good. That looks much better for me. I'm going to definitely take this border thickness down to about 3. That looks good, so I like that. Now I want to show you the branding sheet, because this size here is this H2 heading, so I've got the size of that in there. You can see it in there. I've also got what's called sub colors, and that's this pinky color and this greeny color in here. I've put those as sub colors in here, so you can see as I'm working I'm building up my branding color. So I also want to do the same for the buttons as well. So I'm going to start to build this all up as I'm working through. So buttons, I'm going to go color, and then where possible I'm going to do white. I'm going to do white, so I'm just going to say white or black, or they could be the sub colors. Yeah, so white stroke black, depending on what they're on. These are the colors that I'm going to go with. And I'm also going to say the size for that as well. So I want the font size in there, so I'm going to go Lato, I'm going to say 20px. I'm not using a sub size. Let spacing 1, spacing 1, and Lato bold, and padding 5 top and bottom. So that tells me now what I do for my colors and what I can use, what I can't use, to be consistent throughout the site. And button size normal, but I don't normally put this in because it's just obvious. I'm going to make it normal, but I've put it in there anyway. So now I've got everything that I need to do. Now if you want to put a hexadecimal number in, that's this for white, you know what to do. You can click inside the button and you can grab that hexadecimal, so you can go in here and you can click it. and you can drag it there. So the hexadecimal for white is all F's, and the hexadecimal for black is all zeros, so 6 zeros, okay, or the subcolor. So if you want to put those in, you can, you don't have to, because black is black and white is white. All right, so that's our little branding sheet. So we're building this as we're going, which is obviously going to be a good thing. All right, so we've got our button. I love the button, happy with that. I don't want to do anything else. Choose an action, it will go to a link. So at the moment I'm just going to put a hash in there. That sort of is a placeholder for the link that's going to go in there later. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to clone it, I'm going to drag this straight across into here, and it will work with both these areas now. So I don't know what's happened to the border color there. It's changed to a dark, I'm not sure what happened there. Let's put that back. There you go. So it's nice and clear. Let's click save. Let's now knock this. Now this is your home page. You're going to want to SEO that. We're not onto that side of it yet, but you're going to want to SEO, write a short description, do the meta keywords and the social image like we did last time. You're just going to need to do that, and then save that out. So I want to knock this right to the edge. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this main row. I'm going to click the settings for that. And where it's left and right, I'm going to put this -20. You're going to see it's going to push this to the right hand side. I'm going to do the same with the left as well. It's kind of pushing it across. So what I can do is I can actually now go to the inner row. Now I don't want to put a negative value anymore in there. The reason being is that it will push this off the page and I won't be able to go to settings anymore. So I'm going to use the next row in, and I'm going to use and push that. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go -20, and that's probably a little bit too much. Let's go -10. Oh, a little bit less, -15, perfect. I'm going to put in this side -15, -15, and that's going to push it to that side. Let's just close that down. You're going to see it's going to go right to the edge. I'm going to click save, and I'm going to preview this. So I'm just going to preview this at this stage, and we've got something that knocks right the way across. Now I don't like that white line in the middle. Luckily it's very easy to correct. So I'm going to go back into this column here and choose this one, this inner row now. And I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to put on the right hand side and left hand side, I'm going to put -10 and -10. And you're going to see it push across. Now I'm going to put this side, and you guys, it takes a little bit of fiddly with this, you know, but you want to do it both sides because then it's going to be equal. Right, look, perfect. So I'm going to click save to that. We're going to jump back into this. I'm going to hit the refresh, control, hit the refresh. Bang, we're right edge to edge now. So that's how that looks. If I bring this down responsively, what you're going to see is it will drop underneath, which works really, really well. Okay, so that looks really nice. We now have this first very, very clean looking area to go straight into. So last things I want to do is probably add a bit more sort of spacing inside here. So I'm going to go to this little box, and I probably want to add maybe a little bit more padding in here. So let's go to 300. I'm going to make this really big. I'm going to do the same with this side. So I want these to be nice big blocked areas, really clean and easy to see. And we're repeating the same each row. I'm clicking save now. Right, let's go into this and let's hit that again. And now we've got this really nice big, it's really clean, like, oh, fertility, well-being. I know exactly where I'm clicking. It's nice and clear for me. Okay, so that was my first thing to get done. Now I don't like this gap between here, and I don't like the gap between the bottom. Oh, we can change that later. I've also got powered by Zenler written down there, which I need to get rid of. But this block is now pretty much done. Might need to change the sizes a little bit, but it's pretty much there. So I also need to know how text is going to behave in here, because it would be nice to write a little bit of text under enter the membership area and then explain a little bit about it. Luckily it's not a problem. We can come into here and we can go in and we can drop a text block inside here like this. So you can leave it in this color. I don't think it's very clear. in that. It's in Roboto. I think I want to use Poppins for this. I'm going to choose Poppins, and I'm going to go and choose a regular just to make it a little bit bolder, and I'm going to choose black for this, although you might want to choose white. And I'm going to go into spacing left and probably put about 30. I want to bring it in a little bit from that edge that's pushed out so far. So that looks nice to me. I definitely want to go in and put in here for body text and put that in there like that. So Poppins in there, it's regular in black or white, 16 pixels with a line height of 22. PX. So there we go. So body is any copy, you know, main copy in the page. So I like that. I'm definitely going to make sure I save this sheet as well. Okay, let's clone this. Again, this is dummy copy in here just for approval purposes. Going to drop that in there, click save, and we're going to view that on the page. So I'm going to go into here and just hit refresh, and there we go. So nice clean text, easily readable. If we look at this, we've got that. It's a little bit bigger. You might want to go a little bit bigger, but change the size here to here. I'd rather keep it the same. See the line height there? That's a much bigger line height than there, so you can see how people have used it. So this is what I'm saying, looking at other sites can really help you. You could also try using different colored buttons and you can see how they look. It's really easy to do. You can just clone it out. You can go into here and you can try different designs just to see if it looks better. So we just go to a normal rounded button there. You can just see how that looks on that color. You can go into the style and you could say, yeah, I want to go for this kind of greeny color in there. That actually looks quite nice. I really like that. Maybe I'll do the same for here. Maybe I'll take this and I'll clone it. This is what is so good about Zenler. It's true drag and drop experience. You can go in here and you can play around with different colors that are going to maybe work with this color. So let's just go and just play around with some like blues in there to give it a bit of color. So you're building up how it's looking on the site. We could even go through some of these and change and have a look. Is that better for that area? Maybe go a little bit more into that. Looks quite, just looks a little bit better. Now in those settings under this, by the way, you can go in here and round the corners a bit more. So if I want to round the corners to like 5, I can add a little bit more roundedness in there. And I actually think I prefer this. So you can just make these quick modifications and you can quickly see the effect. Oops, just put 5 in there. And I think I prefer that to the white button. So I'm actually going to delete that out. And I'll do the same for this. And there we go. So we got this now. So I'm going to click save, come in here and we'll look at the difference when I hit it. So that looks quite nice. I'm liking that. Maybe that's in black text on that yellow, or even in a kind of green. So I'm going to change that to change that text color. Let's go into that kind of greeny color. That might look better. So this is just like instant designing, you know, you've got all this stuff and you're like, actually looks quite good. Again, you might want a little bit of air around those buttons, so you can add a bit of padding in there if you wanted to, but this is good. This is a really good start. So I need to move these up here, I need to move these down here, but at the moment I'm not too worried. This is the main crux of what I want to get across. Now I want to go into put Natalie in here as a kind of quick sort of introduction to Natalie in here. So I'm going to follow this kind of standard format, which is pretty easy to do, and we're going to do that in the next session.
Right, so at the moment the site hasn't got any logos, so I wanted to do a logo that's going to work well in the Zenler system. So what you can see here is I've just done some text and I've just put some imagery. So harmony within, this is just a placeholder logo really, it's nothing special, no working on it too much, just exported out as a PNG file, so it's got a transparent background. Notice that it is in a light grey, this will show up on colour backgrounds. So exported this out and I'm just going to bring it into the system now. So let's go and do that. Let's go into our site, let's go to site, let's go to brandings, let's go upload, and I'm going to upload that image. So I have the image here and I'm going to just upload that, and that will upload into the system hopefully at some point. Let's just upload that now, so it's in there now. So we also need a fav icon as well, so you could, if you wanted to, just export out the circle. I can do that and upload it straight in there, as long as it's over 512 pixels width and height, it has to be square, then you can upload the circle straight into there. So I'll do that, I don't really need to show you, I can just upload that into there and it will replace it. Okay, so now that's done, what you're going to find on the actual site is that if I refresh this, you're going to get the Harmony Within logo in there, and you can hardly see it. So I need to make some amendments to this. Now at the moment this hasn't updated, that's because I haven't refreshed it. So as long as I've saved it, what I've done so far, I can hit the refresh button in here and it should then put that logo in there. So we'll just give it a couple of seconds just to refresh that page, and then it means that I can use a color background behind it, which means that it's going to look cool. So again, a placeholder image, I'm just going to use a kind of a dark pink. So I'm going to go in the background colors. Now you can change all this in the branding, but you can do it quickly in here as well if you like to start yourself off. So I'm going to pick something like that. I'm going to go and I'm going to say for the text color, I'm going to choose a white so it stands out for the text. You can't see it, but if I didn't have a logo it would be white. I'm going to use the link text. Remember, these are all links, so they're all in this dark color, and I'm going to make that white. And then we'll throw the mouse over, when you hover over a button, I'm going to choose a lighter pink for that, so it hovers over it. Now I'm going to click save, and I'm going to go and preview the page. So now we've done the header, I'm going to click and refresh. You're going to see this has changed completely, and when I hover over it's going to go that pink color, which looks really nice. However, I've got a little gap between here which I can change really quickly. I'm going to go into the first row of that big column we set up, and I'm going to go into the settings, and I'm actually on the top spacing, I'm actually going to put in here -10, and actually I'll probably need to put -15, maybe 18, maybe 19, probably 20. Okay, 20 takes it right to the edge, so negative value, save that. Let's refresh this page and you'll see the header is done and looks really cool and sweet. So there we go, we can change that color really quickly in there. If I'm not happy with that background color, I can go and swap that out to another color if I want to, such as something like that. Save it, and then I can click in here, refresh, and bang, it's updated. How quick is that, guys? So there we go, we've got that in there. You can see that lovely little logo all going on, and that looks good. So now I need to actually set up a block for actually Natalie, and to give a little bit of a bio in a cool kind of way. So I'm going to be referring to Natalie's picture that she's got on her page, and I'm going to be grabbing that, and I'm not sure the resolution is high enough to be able to make it look as good as I want it to, but at least it's a placeholder and a mock-up for Natalie to have a look at, so that we can then take it further. And I also noticed that I put well-being into that button, so I need to change that over for sure. These are all little things, and we can change those, no problem. And click save, and click refresh. So you can see, using the Zenler system, how quick it is to actually create these pages. We spent a lot more time working on what the design sites look like, and going through all those bits. So you can see how quick we've worked on this. So let's work on this bit down the bottom, which is going to be the profile part. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to go into blocks, I'm going to grab an empty block, and I'm going to drag it in here. Now I'm going to be using the standard width, so I'm not going to go right to the edge in this case. I'm going to go in here with rows, and I'm going to put in here probably another row. I always like to have a row and then a row in a row. So I've got the main block, I've got a row, and then I'm going to come in here and then I'm going to choose this. So I'm going to use 50-50, maybe 33-66, something like that, but it really makes no difference because I can click on the row and I can drag these in and out as I see fit. So I now need to grab that image from Natalie's website to put it in here to create the kind of little bio. But before I do that, I want to do a little bit like we have for here, Dr. Kathleen Manhanna bit in there. So I'm going to actually create another row on here. So I've put the row inside the row inside the row. It can get a bit confusing. I'm going to move it up now and drop an element in here. So I'm going to go into the headings for this, and I'm going to choose maybe an H2 heading for this, or maybe an H3 heading in this case. I might have it slightly different, and I'm going to put in here Natalie Mason in there. Now I'm not quite happy with the size and things of that, and I might change it to more. In this case, I might change it to one of the hand scripts, but I will make that very much bigger. I don't want it to be really small. I want it to be big, and I might change this to reflect, and I might do it in sort of that. Now I want to bring this up a little bit, and I probably would like to put something else, but I'm going to leave it like that for now, and we might change that later. So I need to drop an image in there. The next thing I want to do for sure is drop some text in here. So I'm going to drop some text in here, and that will be the about part of this. I'm going to make sure it's left aligned, so I'm going to click on the, always go into that settings to get to this area. We're going to go across and click that to left. I'm going to clone that, and I'm actually going to put short bio, and then inside here I'm going to make this slightly bigger. Again, this is where you need to be writing this down into your branding sheets, and I'm going to actually choose a lighter color here, and I'm going to change this to Lato. Actually I want it pop-ins because it's pop-in for body text, so let's go into there. Let's put that into pop-ins, and I will be choosing a stronger color, so something like a bold. I'm not sure about that. Let's make this 25, and let's make this pop-ins. Pop-ins here, it's at 16. Something like that, so it's nice and clear. I'm going to put it into a regular, and that looks good. Okay, still not sure about that type. Yeah, well we can figure that out later. So I'm going to go into this. I want to be dropping an image in here, so I'm going to be uploading an image of Natalie, but at this point in time I can just drop something like a placeholder in there, so you get this kind of thing happening. So that looks quite nice. I might decide to give it a background color, just slightly knocked back, and I probably would want to knock this up. So I'm going to go to this column here, this row, apologies, and I probably want to knock this block up. So I'm going to go into settings here. Oops, sorry, the row. Let's go into that row. Go to the little settings tab there, and you're going to see I'm going to put a negative value at the bottom. So I'm going to bring this up here, and then I'm going to do negative 20. Might even do more, negative 40. Let's change that. Just put it on. Actually, I'll reset it. That's not going to do what I want it to do. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, And I'm actually going to white space it, so I'm not going to use any color behind it. I'm just going to put it into white so it just flows. Let me just click save and have a quick look at it. So I do these little snapshot things so I can just see quickly what's going on. So that looks quite nice. It's centered, then it goes center, and then it's centered in there. And that looks quite nice. Okay, so I need to grab Natalie's profile. So I'm going to go into one of these sites. I think that one's good. And we'll be grabbing an image. So I think this has got the image in it. Let's go in here. Maybe not. About us. Oh, that's good. Got some about us text. Oh, see, that's a really lovely photo. So I'm going to right hand click. I'm just going to click save image as. And I'm going to save that to my desktop. So let's just click save to the desktop. Jump into here. This is great because I've got the asset, so I can just jump in and jump across, just upload. It's perfect. So there's Natalie there. We're going to upload without crop. And bang, she's in there. Now it's all a bit out of whack because I want it all tied up with the top. So I need to go into the master row for this. And I need to align things. Top. Let's go in here, align top. There we go. So that's a bit better. Now if that's too big, that image, you can bring it down a bit. So we've got room there to do other things. So I want to put a button in there. I'm going to save myself a lot of time here. I'm going to take that button, I'm going to clone it. I'm going to take that, I'm going to bring it down here. And then I'm going to just drag this underneath there like that. So we can now think of a secondary color, but I'm going to leave it in that color. So I'm going to go in here. We've put no links in here at the moment, so I'm just going to put more about me. So let's save that. And then we have this nice little bio. Now it isn't centered exactly how I wanted it. Well, it is centered. I want it not to be centered. I want it to be left. So I'm going to click it there. And there we have it. Not happy with this text. In fact, I will probably delete it out, so I'm not liking the look of it. And that looks okay, but maybe I'm going to go into a grey like that and just take something like that. Come in here, change this, maybe put it in a black, change the spacing down the bottom, spacing at the top. I'm trying to knock it a little bit closer together, and I can even go down and take the spacing to a negative value just to get pixel perfect, and that looks a lot better. Right. That's good. I probably have about that much text in there. Maybe I would separate this a little bit more. And click save. So let's now have a look at that, just preview it. And for mocking something up in sort of 5 minutes, that's not bad. So again, like I was saying to you, you can take this and you could make this a bit smaller. So if I came in here and I just drag this in a bit, it's just going to look a bit better. It's a bit more precise in there. Now, of course, you know, guys, I could go full width with this like this, which doesn't look bad, but I actually like it like this. It's nice, small, compact. And by the way, instead of dragging these, you can actually drag the image down. So if I want to make the image a bit smaller to get things exact, I can just drag that image down like that. Click save and we can check it out again. So I'm now going to refresh this page and it should be lining up fairly close with what we've already got going on. So there we go. So there we go, a nice little bit there. I probably put that, actually looking at it, I'm probably going to put it on the right hand side. I just like it to be a bit more balanced. Okay, that looks nice. So I've got a nice little block in there about me, and then you click there and it goes to more. Okay, and there we go, we got a little about us block. So that's really all I need at this stage. So I've got my text in here. We'll start bringing text across, but now I want to go into the well-being and the fertility area and into those courses so that we can go and we can see what we're getting with the membership site. So we built this first page. So it's at this stage that I want to pass this past Natalie and make sure she's happy with the font, those sizes, those kind of things. I will go around and I will just adjust some of these so line spacing looks a bit better. So when you see it next, when we do the live ZEN pop-up, it might have changed slightly, but I'll be using those same methods. So, you know, there's nothing hard about it. It's just using those same methods to get this to work. With there, we might want to put some review blocks in there, things like that. It's all fine. Again, we could just, if we wanted to, we could just take this, clone this, change this to reviews, and then have some reviews in there. You know, we can do a myriad of different things with the system, but that takes us to where we need to be at this stage. And for me to get this passed through Natalie, before I move on, I just want to make sure she's happy with the fonts that have been chosen within the platform and all those things. So let's move on, and we'll then see if this is approved, make some little tweaks and move on.
Okay guys, so you've seen that build. I've expanded a little bit on that, but this is for discussion points. So hopefully after talking to Natalie, and we're going to do the ZEN pop-up for that, we're going to then be on track. So once we've got all these colors kind of sorted out, and they might change a little bit depending on what Natalie wants, maybe the font will change, but once we've got that set in stone, we can then ripple through the site relatively quickly. So this is always the kind of time consuming part, and you saw there I was talking about things for about like 20 minutes or so, so it actually took less than an hour to do what we've done there. You can see how quick it is to use Zenler to even set your branding up and do it all and test things out in the platform itself. Now I have made a few little revisions, so I'm just going to share my screen now just before we go on, because you will see this in the next ZEN pop-up. So I wanted to basically not just have that block in there, but generally you would have a header block in the top to like introduce yourself or to talk about the actual business and those things. So I wanted to do something really quick. So I basically did in Canva, I just did a design that I just put in there. Now a lot of this will be broken away and it will be done as live text rather than, when I say live text, it means you can select it rather than embedded in the image. At the moment I've got it embedded in the image. So it's just a discussion point. So just take it from that. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I've done here. Is I've created this header area here, so when you go down, then you go down into the blocks, so it now looks a lot more sort of fully fledged because you've got this big section at the top that actually has a lovely picture, utilizes a logo, the actual circular logo inside there, inside the page itself. And I'm also looking at this font, which I quite like the look of. Maybe it's considering actually putting that and using it for this. I don't know. Again, it's a discussion point. It's all done very quickly. So in Canva, this was actually done. So if I flick up this, you can see the logos in there. We just did all this in Canva, and then this was just created in Canva, output, and then put straight into the site. As simple as that, you know. And to put it into the site, you can see there I've just got a block. I've got a singular row, and then I've got a image element inside it, and I've just dumped it straight in there. And it's as simple as that, straight into that block. So you can see I've got my blue block around the outside where that goes into, and my image in there, which I can adjust like this, but I will be using live text, live text being text that you can actually select, because live text gets picked up by search engines. and not so much with images, especially if you don't put any alt tags and those sort of things in it. So this is the first thing. I know this has been quite a long Zen pop-up, but it's the first iteration of this. I will be, like I said, doing the build, actually showing you through. I might be showing you certain pages and I might ripple through the rest just for time, because you don't want to be watching the same thing repeated. You just want to get a general idea of how it's all put together. So we haven't even looked at the menu system yet and putting that in there. It's got all courses, calendar, support. We don't need any of those at this point. So this is just a placeholder. And you can see I've changed that as well in there. So simple as that. It's really quick to do. Inside Zenler, you can see it's all sort of coming together. We're kind of looking at slightly different variations of the pink color for this and this, just to change it up. Again, it's a discussion point at this point, but it will finalize and it will firm down exactly what Natalie wants in style and those sort of things. So the circular pattern adds a bit of softness as well that we could actually introduce into some of the elements, but we don't need to worry about it at this stage. And because it's a kind of newly branded sort of site, it's got all these things, we can change things as we go. So later on you can put the whole site together relatively quickly, and then you can actually tweak certain things as long as it looks professional at this stage. It's all blocked and we've got it all in there. That's the main thing that matters for the kind of design of this site at this stage. We have a lot more work to do. I've got to ask the development team to actually go along and take the courses from Teachable straight into this platform. To do that, we do migration for both Teachable and Thinkific, and to be able to, if you've already got courses on Teachable, all you need to do is reach out to support@zenler.com and you need to ask them or put in a migration request. They will ask you for probably the username and password so they can go into the platform itself, set the API up so they can bring everything across into the platform itself, or however they do it. I'm not sure. It's a mystery how they magically bring it all across. So we haven't gone through that stage yet. We're just putting the site together, getting the final foundations together for this. Now also notice at the beginning of the video I also did a capture form as well. So within the capture form itself, we have the name, email. I haven't put any branding up here or anything. It's just basically a holding page so that you can work behind the scenes on the site itself. So that brings us to the end of this Zen pop-up. So hopefully you find this interesting. There's not been many viewers on the group, but I guess it's a time I've done it. I just impromptu just pop up and do these. Watch on replay. Please put #replay to make sure that you're telling me that you're watching on the replay and you like what's going on so far, and we will carry on with the build to get into more exciting stuff. Okay guys, so I'm going to end this session now and I will see you in the next pop-up very soon.